Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the National Hockey Now Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now. It is Tuesday, December 13th. Ian Cameron with you, and we have a guest joining us today on the Tuesday edition of the show, Kevin from the desert, Scottsdale, Arizona, joining us today for the first time on the Ice Guys show. Kevin, welcome to the Ice Guys for the first time. How are things with you? And just tell us a little bit about your hockey background, your betting background, and things of that magnitude.
Yeah, sure. And Ian, thanks so much for having me. I've been a viewer of the show for a while now, and feel like I practically know you and Alex, but this is great to be on. I've been watching hockey almost my whole life since about 2004, and have been playing hockey for about 10 years recreationally. But capping wise, I've been capping the NHL for 5 seasons now. So I'm really starting to find my groove and have met a lot of awesome people in the community, and really love capping hockey and MLB. Those are my 2 main sports, but this time of year is just great with hockey in full swing.
Yeah, no question about that. It sure is. It's that time of year too, where now we're approaching the new year, and now the points are going to become more important to get them. Certainly for teams trying to make the playoffs. So the games get more important. And of course, once football season ends, then a lot more interest and excitement and eyeballs turn to hockey, it seems, every single year. And I notice even, Kevin, with our viewership and our podcast downloads, they're excellent right now. I think they're close to as good as they've ever been for October, November, December. But they go to another level once February rolls around. Once the Super Bowl passes by, it's like everybody gets more interested in hockey at that time of year, and we really get more people interested in it. We were talking before the show began. I've ripped the what's going on with the Coyotes there. I think some of it's just disastrous right now, and I've said not exactly the best hockey market going. But I will say this is one of the guys that is going to do everything in his power to make sure that hockey is growing in that state. You can tell he clearly loves the sport, which is great. And I got to say one thing about hockey in Arizona. They have produced 2 players that are currently among the 2 best players in the NHL right now, Austin Matthews and Tage Thompson, who, as a Sabre fan growing up, I absolutely love what I'm seeing out of TNT, Tage Thompson right now for the Buffalo Sabres. So they're growing. You're right. The youth hockey is getting stronger there. They're developing players. And, of course, it goes without saying, Matthews and Thompson shining now from the state of Arizona at the NHL level. So, Kevin, great to have you with us. Let's jump into the Tuesday card. We will begin with the Seattle Kraken taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning. We've got Tampa Bay minus 200, home favorites here, 6 the total in this one. It's actually 6.5, depending on where you look in this game tonight. The Seattle Kraken, if you watch the Sunday show with Nick, who is on with me, as well as myself, we both kind of liked Seattle on Sunday against Florida. They were able to get the job done. The Kraken with a nice road victory in that game against the Panthers, even though we were a little bit concerned that Martin Jones was the guy starting in net for Seattle in that game, noting that his play had declined quite a bit in recent games. But no, he played solid, and certainly enough goals were scored in support of him by the Kraken in that 5-2 victory. We'll see if they can carry that forward tonight. That game obviously snapped a 3-game losing streak for them. Tampa Bay continues their homestand here, which is now the 5th game on this 6-game homestand for the Lightning. They've started the homestand 3-1 so far, with wins against Toronto, Nashville, and Florida. The loss being against Detroit by a score of 4-2. This is one of those spots here where I'm probably going to stay off this game, but Seattle has been excellent on the road. They're 9-3. When I did take Detroit as a big underdog, it was a week ago tonight, last Tuesday. And Tampa Bay lost to Detroit 4-2. It was with the Lightning coming off the big victory against Toronto, first round playoff series rematch. And even a great team like Tampa Bay, who look, for the better part of the last month, they look like the Tampa Bay Lightning on their A game again, looking like that team that's gone to 3 consecutive Stanley Cup finals the last month or so with their level of play. but they're not immune to flat spots. They're not immune to laying that occasional egg and clunker every now and then. And that Detroit game showed it. So, I wouldn't be rushing to lay 200 here, minus 200 with Tampa Bay in this spot. At the same time, do I want to? I've been on Seattle a bunch. I don't know if I'll be on the Kraken either, but I do have a small lean toward the Seattle side. And with this being, by the way, our betcast night, which is a good segue to that, it is a live betcast tonight for the Ice Guys, 7:00 p.m. Eastern time. I feel this is a game I would rather, with the betcast taking place tonight, just see how it starts. See how Tampa Bay starts the game. See how Seattle starts the game, because right away I can seem to tell in these games when Tampa Bay's locked in, they're geared up for the game, and when they're not. There's a clear difference. And that Detroit game I could see right away. It's not looking like that Tampa Bay team that's got it all going tonight. And I think this is one of those games where, especially with us having the betcast tonight, going to sit back, watch the first 5-10 minutes of the game, and then maybe if I see Tampa Bay not looking so good early in the game, it may jump in on Seattle in some level, whether it's puck line or plus 1.5 for some safety, security, or maybe even just taking a shot on the money line. We'll do so. But I definitely want to see how this game starts before jumping in. Kevin, what do you think here, Seattle, Tampa Bay?
Yeah, so Tampa Bay, like you said, they've caught their stride this last month. They're starting to play a lot better than when they kicked off the season. Seattle, I've had the chance to watch quite a bit since I am on the West Coast. I catch a lot of their games, and they've been very fun to back this season. Just looking at their road numbers, they're averaging 4.25 goals per game on the road, which is almost a goal and a half higher than they do at home. So that's a spot to look at. And I do want to try to back the Kraken here in some way. With that said, I think looking at their team total is a good angle. Most of my capping is model based. So I start with models to see, where I can find edges, and then I look at trends. So in this case, I've got the team total for Seattle over 2.5, kind of at a 66% chance to hit. So I'm going to take a look at that. It's minus 115 over at Caesars. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. I do see the Kraken getting 3 tonight. If it's Vasilevsky going, he hasn't been up to form this season as he has in years past. So I could easily see Seattle getting 3 goals here tonight. And then from a player prop perspective, I'm also looking at Jared McCann to get a point tonight. I see tremendous value in that. He's plus 100 to get a point tonight. And when you look at his game logs, all of his points seem to come in bunches. He always seems to get like 2 every couple games. So last game he got a point. I'm hoping that pattern continues tonight and he gets another point, and I'll take that chance at plus money.
Those are some good props, actually. I agree with those. McGinn has definitely been one of those undervalued players lately. No doubt about that for the Seattle Kraken. See if he's able to find the score sheet tonight in this game. Philip Grubauer, by the way, is confirmed in net here for the Kraken tonight. They've been basically starting to ease him back in. Dave Haxtell, I think eventually he's going to get the number 1 spot back, but they're just basically been going back and forth, him and Martin Jones lately. Vasilevsky projected, not confirmed yet, but is projected to be in net for the Lightning. Again, I do lean a little bit to Seattle. I've been backing them a lot on the road. I'm going to look to see how this game starts, though, before getting involved in it. And again, a reminder, very important, the Ice Guys Betcast. I know we get a lot of viewers. We get usually 60 to 70 live viewers. And I mentioned the last time you guys stepped up and responded the way I was hoping. 60, 70 live viewers, I say we usually get on average for the betcast, yet only 6 or 7 people, usually maximum, join us on the actual stream. And I said, come on, you join us, even if it's just for 5 minutes to say hello and not stay for too long. That's okay. Just make your presence known. This is a family. This is a community here, the Ice Guys. So we want to see you. We want to hear from you. So make sure if you're around at all and just want to say hello for even if it's just 5 minutes to be on the betcast, definitely join us tonight and DM me, and I will send you the StreamYard link for the betcast tonight at 7:00 p.m. Eastern time. Live betting, commentary. I don't know how long we'll go tonight. We may not go right till the end of the night like we did last time, but that Seattle-LA game, how the hell am I going to shut down the betcast in the middle of a 9-8 hockey game? How can I in good conscience say, you know what, we can't keep the betcast going with this crazy game going on? So that's why we stuck around right till the end. DM on Twitter, Zach F. Yeah, at Bobano. As you can see here, when I get the game, when the game is not, there you go. As you can see, when I take the what game we're talking about off display, off the screen, you can see the Twitter handle there. Yeah, at Bobano, you just send me a DM there, and we will send you the link for the betcast tonight before it begins. So 7 p.m. Eastern, bring your favorite beverages as well, adult beverages. It's a pub bar atmosphere. We do some drinking during the betcast, so it's a lot of fun. No question. That's tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. And Alex B. Smith, who's not with me on the Daily Show today, he will be back, of course, on the betcast tonight as well. All right, L.A. Kings, Buffalo Sabres, even money -110 here, 6.5 the total in this one. I like the Sabres a little bit here in this game. It's been a tough stretch here for them of late. You know, they've lost back-to-back games against the Pittsburgh Penguins over the weekend. So difficult losses there. The one at home was really tough because they had a 3-2 lead. Pittsburgh tied it, and then they won in overtime. And really, it was that bonehead penalty by Jeff Skinner. I mean, it was just a bad decision. He lost his shit for a moment, lost his cool, cross-checked Jake Gensel in the face. Really shouldn't have done stupid things like that. And ended up paying the price for it with a suspension. And that suspension continues into tonight for Skinner. Suspended 3 games. He's only served 1 game so far of that suspension. So he'll miss 2 more games for the Sabres, including tonight as they take on the LA Kings. Phoenix Copley has been confirmed in goal for the Kings. I got to give the guy credit. I mean, he has won both of his starts. I mean, 2 goals allowed to Ottawa, 2 goals allowed to Montreal. This is someone that's been, you know, bounced around multiple teams, the St. Louis organization, the Washington organization. Is this going to keep going, though, indefinitely? That's the question. We're talking about a guy that's been league average goaltender, a backup goaltender most of his career, but so far so good for Phoenix Copley in between the pipes here for the Kings in his first couple starts. Craig Anderson will get the nod for the Buffalo Sabres in this game. His last couple haven't been nearly as sharp. 4 goals allowed against both Detroit and Pittsburgh, although the Sabres did beat Detroit 5-4 in that game in a shootout, lost 4-3 in Anderson's last start against the Penguins on Friday night in Buffalo. I also like this game over the total. I mean, we've talked incessantly here about the Buffalo Sabres overs, and it's well worth mentioning them again here. And we've also talked about how the LA Kings have not been very sharp defensively the last, I would say, 2-3 weeks. I mean, they have not been consistent in their own end. I thought they'd finally dug down defensively with one of their better efforts against Montreal, but then the game before that, they were just hemmed in their own zone the entire game against Toronto, completely dominated in that shutout loss. And you think, hey, they play a good defensive game, finally step up on that end of the ice against Montreal. Maybe some positives. You can keep that kind of momentum going, bring that defensive intensity and effort to the next game against Columbus. Sure enough, they did not against the Jackets in that game. Right back to struggling to defend. The penalty kill's been inconsistent. 5-on-5 defense hasn't been a whole lot better. And of course, in that Columbus game, they end up losing 6-5 in overtime to the Blue Jackets. So just haven't been impressed with what I've seen from the Kings defensively, which also speaks volumes about why they've trended 5-2 to the over in their last 7 games coming into tonight. Meanwhile, we don't have to talk too much about how Buffalo for the longest time has trended over the total, 8-2 over the total in their last 10 games entering tonight. So it feels obvious, but sometimes obvious is the right bet. So over 6.5 for me at -135. What do you think here, Kevin? Kings and Sabres?
Yeah, so my model had this one pretty much a pick 'em as well with a slight edge to Buffalo. I did cap it using Jonathan Slow, as the comments say. But even with Copley in it, I still like Buffalo here at home. Like you said, the sample size for Copley's, it's small right now, but give him credit, he has done pretty well. But I do like Buffalo here. The home team is 23-7 in the last 30 meetings. So that's a nice little betting trend there for Buffalo to follow. And they're averaging 4.6 goals per game over their last 10. Of course, that's maybe a little inflated with Tage Thompson's 5 goals, but they are playing pretty well at home. So I do like them, Buffalo Sabres money line, and I also like the over 6.5. I believe it's moving to 7 in some books already, if not all books. So if you can grab the 6.5, you like the over, I would take it now.
And I'm just looking at the line combinations here as well for this game. From a prop standpoint, Kevin, I think you do because you said you've watched the show a bunch of times, that, I love the players that are going up the lineup, that are moving up from a position where maybe they were a third line or a fourth line, and now they're going up to the second line or even the top line. And I think we've got an example of that, rather, for the LA Kings. We've got Jarrett Anderson Dolan tabbed to move from the fourth line to the second line tonight for the LA Kings. And obviously with that increase up the lineup comes more opportunity, more ice time. He did score against the Columbus Blue Jackets in his last game, and maybe Todd McClellan, the head coach, sees something there that, hey, he got a goal the other night. We're going to give him an opportunity to showcase maybe more of that offensive ability and maybe tap into it a little bit for him alongside Phil Deneau and Trevor Moore. He is slated to play on that second line tonight for the LA Kings. So those are the kind of player prop situations I love to take advantage of that. And Jared Anderson Dolan, again, moving up to the second line tonight for the LA Kings. I've talked about Kaliev for a very long time, how he's a little undervalued in the prop market right now because he's up on the top line for the LA Kings at the moment as well. Definitely take advantage of that is what I've been looking to do, and I'll probably have a little Kaliev props involved tonight as well, playing with Kopitar and Fiala. And again, it's just Kopitar's priced highly, Fiala is, yet Kaliev's on that same line, and you can get such a better price on him for a point and a better price on him to score a goal. And that's always why I gravitate to the player that's just been moved up to that kind of position in the lineup. So definitely a couple of things there to worth noting. Buffalo is one of those tricky teams from a prop standpoint because there's so many different players that can contribute offensively. You just can't zone in on one guy. Tage Thompson obviously is the obvious choice to zone in on, but a lot of times he takes a back seat, and you get your JJ Peterkas, your Dylan Cousins, your Alex Tucks, and other players that step up. Dahlin can chip in offense from the blue line. Jack Quinn has been very good lately for the Buffalo Sabres as well. So you can. That's why I always say you can sprinkle or spread the wealth, share the wealth a little bit when it comes to betting Sabre player props, because there's so many different players that can make an impact and make a difference on a nightly basis. All right, next up we've got Dallas and New Jersey. The Devils minus 165, home favorites, 6.5 being the total in this game. It's a back-to-back spot for both teams, actually. They both played last night, and they both were on the losing end of their matchups last night. The Dallas Stars fall to the Pittsburgh Penguins with a late last-minute goal, courtesy of Evgeny Malkin, to lose to the Pittsburgh Penguins by a score of 2-1. For Dallas now suddenly trending, down a little bit. 3 wins in their last 8 games, 3-5 in their last 8 games. New Jersey, meanwhile, we talked about going into yesterday, usually reliable off a loss. That's now only the second time all year they've lost 2 games in a row. And they had a nice, comfortable, at least it was for a brief moment, 3-1 lead over the Rangers. But the Rangers get 2 quick ones in the second period, and then they end up winning in overtime by a score of 4-3. Very nice, come from behind, gutted out win for the New York Rangers as they slowly but surely try to get some of their confidence back after a bit of a skid. So now you've got both teams on a back-to-back, both teams looking to bounce back here in this matchup with the Stars and the Devils. Stars have won 4 of the last 5 head-to-head against New Jersey, including back-to-back in New Jersey over this Devils team. But at the same point in time, New Jersey is not the team this year that they've been in years past. They're a much better hockey team. We know that. Much deeper in terms of their 4 lines. The defense and goaltending last night wasn't so great, but I think overall we've seen big improvement in their defensive numbers, whether it's shots allowed, high danger chances allowed, expected goals against. All of those key, advanced numbers are so much improved this year for the New Jersey Devils. We'll see who's in net for tonight. Obviously, it's back-to-back, so last night you saw Vanacek for the Devils in net, and of course you saw Jake Ottinger in net for the Dallas Stars. Probably a good chance we see Wedgwood back-to-back for Dallas, and probably Akira Schmid here for the New Jersey Devils. And especially with Akira Schmid, he is a guy that has really played well. The opportunities he's had lately in net for the Devils. He's got a 5-1 record and a 1.7 goals against, 940 save percentage. So if we see him in net, he's showing right now a level of confidence that would have me willing to trust him here going into this matchup. Meanwhile, Wedgwood's had some really good games, don't get me wrong, but it's been a little bit more like what we expect from him the last couple of starts he's had. He's given up a couple where he's had 4 goals allowed in his last few starts. We'll see if he can perform well here for the Dallas Stars tonight. But I definitely am interested here in the Devils a little bit in regulation. I think if I were to bet it, that's the way I would go. I haven't decided if I'm going to bet it pregame. I might wait for something better in terms of the live bet cast tonight. But definitely, if I were to bet this one from a side perspective, it would be Devils for me in regulation. Kevin, what do you think here, Dallas and New Jersey?
Yeah, so like you said, both teams coming off a back-to-back. New Jersey was in New York, so not very far travel. So that's something to consider. Dallas coming from Pittsburgh last night. Both teams, played a close, hard game. With that said, I think the teams are going to be a little bit tired. We're going to see some slow legs. Defense might not be very tight, and we do have the backup goalies. Schmid's numbers have been awesome, but I do like the over 6 here. I grabbed it last night, so I'm not sure if any 6s are still available, but I grabbed that at minus 120. But yeah, the Devils in reg is also not a bad look. One thing to be careful of, though, is I do know the Stars in the third period, they tend to kind of turn it on, especially if they're down. There's a couple games I've watched them play where in the third period they just explode for goals. So you can also maybe look for a live over in this game, kind of depending on how it starts off. And, coming off back-to-back games and traveling, it could start slow, but things might pick up and the over might make more sense at a better price.
Yeah, this is definitely I might put a small little piece on the Devils in regulation pregame, but most of the wager is going to be, if I get involved with the Devils, it'll be more during the betcast tonight. And again, on these nights when we have the betcast, I try personally, and I know Alex does as well, pull back the reins a little bit on, just peppering the board pregame, because we really want to illustrate examples of, hey, we're getting good value here on the betcast. Now's the chance we can bet this team or this total or whatever the case may be. And that's the great thing about having the betcast like we have. Akira Schmid is actually a top 20 goalie in the NHL with goals saved above average. I want to point that out as well, which tells you he's really been playing well when he's had these opportunities in between the pipes for the New Jersey Devils. So we'll see if he can keep up his recent good play tonight for them as they face the Dallas Stars, looking to avoid a rare, and I mean rare, 3-game losing streak. In fact, they've never lost 3 in a row this year, the New Jersey Devils. The only other time they lost 2 in a row was right at the beginning of the season, their first 2 games against Philly and Detroit. And so this is the first time all season they would have lost 3 games if they don't win tonight against the Dallas Stars. All right, next up, we've got Columbus and Florida. The Panthers are minus 300 home favorites here, 6.5 being the total in this game. Bobrovsky once again in net for the Florida Panthers. They really have no choice at the moment. Spencer Knight remains out and unavailable for the Panthers due to the illness that he keeps on going through right now. They haven't said what type of illness, whether it's just a real bad, flu or cold illness or COVID, who the hell knows, but it's an illness that's obviously kept him out of action now for a few games. He's trending in the right direction, but not ready to go tonight. So they're giving Bobrovsky another opportunity here. But again, with Bobrovsky, there's a reason why Spencer Knight has gotten more of the starts than him lately. And you've seen evidence of it the last 2 games, or actually really the last, I would say 3 of his last 5 games, he's been way below average in terms of his performance. That Calgary game was a disaster when he was in net, when they lost 6-2 to the Flames. He was flopping around like a fish in net in one of those goals. Like he's just like a drunk man on skates, as I said that day. It was just ridiculous. I mean, he's losing his net, losing his balance, not tracking the puck well, giving up goals through the 5-hole. I mean, it just hasn't been consistent, hasn't been good. One game to the next from Bobrovsky. He's back-to-back starts for him where he's given up 4 goals against the Lightning and the Kraken. That's not what you want to see. Now, tough spot, obviously. He has to play back-to-back days over the weekend because Spencer Knight's out. But at the same time, you got to be better in net, and he hasn't been lately. Simple as that for the Florida Panthers. I don't have to take it easy on the guy. He's making a shit ton of money right now. He should be playing at a level better than this considering the contract he's signed. And he's just not doing it right now for the Florida Panthers. On the flip side for Columbus, I'll give this team, I continue to give this team their share of credit for just gutting out what, with all the injuries, we've talked about all the personnel depletion that this team has suffered through. They've got 4 starting defensemen that remain out: Bean, Blankenberg, Boquist, and Werenski, and none of them are coming back anytime soon. Danforth and Voracek have been out up front as well. They've missed some really key players in their lineup, and they still continue to battle. 1-2 in a row, for goodness sake, against Calgary and LA, and they beat Florida in the midst of having all these injuries last month by a score of 5-3 at home against the Panthers. So, I don't know if I'm going to grab the plus price with Columbus, but man, I'm definitely leaning more toward dog than favorite in this game at this particular price, as Florida continues to be an inconsistent mess. They're only, 4-6 in their last 10 games. They're on a 2-game losing streak now. This is just not a price I'm interested in at this point in time with the Florida Panthers. I do like the over as well in this game. That's my favorite stance, is more toward the total, 6.5 here, -120 in this game. But even, and look, there's some really big favorites and some favorites that I think could be in some dubious spots tonight. This is one of them, just because Florida, to me, is not playing with that level of play that warrants, to me, a -315 favorite at this point in time. And these favorites are so big that you could even take a +1.5 puck line with Florida at -120 in this game if you want a little more security. There's definitely different, not with a Columbus, I should say, a +1.5 in this game with them is right now. Let me just see here. We had it up on the screen, the +1.5. It is, it's even money, actually, +100 with the Columbus Blue Jackets at even money. So Columbus, team total over 2.5, as someone says in the chat. I think that's a good look. I mean, I definitely like over 6.5, but even just asking the Jackets right now to score 3 goals. And keep in mind, they've got Lionel back, which is significant. Obviously he's someone they count upon for offense, especially with all the injuries. And he just came back a few games ago, and look at how he's ripping it up for the Jackets. 4 goals and 6 points in the last 3 games for Patrick Lionel. So, him to score a goal and him to even get over 1.5 points tonight in this game, you could look in that direction with Patrick Lionel tonight for the Jackets in this one. So I lean Jackets in some form, team total over. You could do a puck line, money line split +1.5 and take a shot at the +250, which I don't hate it. But most of all, I like over 6.5. Definitely my favorite look on this particular game. What do you think here, Kevin? Jackets and Panthers?
Yeah, so Florida just hasn't been, like you were alluding to, not very consistent this year. So this price is a little bit scary. When I first saw this, my initial thought was CBJ's a live dog here. When I ran the numbers, I just really still don't see value in a side. So the team total for Columbus is one of my favorite plays for today. Over 2.5 at +100, I think, is a great look. Bobrovsky, especially in net, he's given up more than 2 goals in 3 out of his last 4 starts. So with Columbus, the way they've been playing lately, Patty's back in the lineup. He's shooting the puck like crazy. Expect some power play opportunities for Columbus. I could see them getting that 3 pretty easily. So I'm definitely putting that one in today at +100, and the total here as well. The last 4 meetings in Florida have gone 4-0 to the over. So I think that's worth a look. And of course, overs are always a blast to bet if they go your way, of course. But yeah, that's what I like in this one tonight.
Yeah. And by the way, for Columbus, their goaltending situation is not very good right now either. That would be the concern, obviously, if you're going to take the Jackets puck line or money line. It might be why, if you bet team total over 2.5 +100, again, you eliminate what Columbus does defensively. You eliminate what the goaltending, how the goaltending performs for them, because they've got Korpisalo still on IR, and that means, for better or worse, it's Elvis Merzlikins every game now, unless they play on a back-to-back. And we've talked about ad nauseum his issues. He struggled for a very long time going back to last year. He's been dreadful this year. 4.83 goals against average, .862 save percentage. He did have a solid game against Calgary Friday night, but again, he couldn't follow it up. Even though they beat LA, he gave up 5 goals. They won in spite of Merzlikins in that game. He's Merzlikin, as I've said many times here on this show. So that's another reason why the over probably's got a good shot here in this game tonight. Merzlikin's in that. I do feel bad about the situation as to why he's struggling, because I don't think it's all physical with him. I think a lot of it is he hasn't been mentally there and on, sharp and just feeling it. And the emotions have been raw, and they've been all over the place, obviously, since the tragedy involving his best friend, his countryman, his teammate, Matisse Kivlenix, the firework incident. I mean, just horrifying stuff. And, I don't think he's been able to really focus on stopping the puck and focus on playing ever since that. And it's definitely shaken him up, in my opinion, because it seems like it perfectly coincides his struggles with that traumatic moment happening in his life. So, but again, he definitely continues to fight it. We'll see how he performs tonight, assuming he's in net. He currently is projected for the Jackets tonight. All right, Anaheim, Toronto. We've got the Toronto Maple Leafs. You want to lay minus 500 to as high as minus 540 with the Leafs tonight in this game? Because if you like them, that's what you're going to have to do. The total 6.5 here in this one. When I look at this game here with the Ducks and the Leafs are absolutely rolling right now. No denying that whatsoever. They're playing outstanding hockey. They're right on the heels now of the Boston Bruins for first in the Atlantic Division. That's how well this team has played. Mitch Marner on the 22 consecutive game point streak, 11 goals, 19 assists during those 22 games, which is just insane numbers. The Maple Leafs as a team, they have collected at least 1 point in 14 straight games, second longest streak in franchise history without a regulation loss, 11-0-3 in their last 14 games. So 14 straight games here without a regulation loss for the Leafs going into this game tonight against the Ducks. Of overtime win 5-4 against the Calgary Flames. They've just been terrific. And I've said this about the Leafs, and I'll say it again. When they've got William Nylander, Austin Matthews, and of course, the 22-game point streak man, Mitch Marner, playing at the level they are playing right now at the same time, simultaneously, and they're all rolling right now for the Leafs. They're very tough to beat. I don't want to use the word unstoppable because any team can be beaten on any given night, but they're pretty damn close to unstoppable when they're all playing like that. At the same time, they're all earning their paychecks. Exactly right. Even Tavares, he's had a very solid season for the Leafs. They're all playing great. They've managed somehow to play good team defense. Their structure with all the injuries was unbelievably good. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. A team with no TJ Brody, a team with no Morgan Rielly, a team with no Jake Muzzin for weeks, playing some of their best team defense as a 5-man unit I've seen in years from the Toronto Maple Leafs. And now they've got Brody back. I don't think it's going to be long until Morgan Rielly comes back. I think he's progressing in a positive direction. So wait until they get, their full complement on the blue line healthy again and back on the ice. Then things could really start to be something for this Toronto Maple Leafs team. Obviously, they welcome in a wounded Anaheim Ducks team. I mean, it's just absolutely pathetic what we're seeing from them right now. 1-8 in their last 9 games. They had that one win against Carolina in overtime, 4-3, and thinking maybe that could turn things around for the Ducks. And sure enough, they get drubbed in their next 2 games, losing to San Jose and Ottawa by a combined score of 9-1. 6-1 to San Jose, shut out 3-0 last night by the Ottawa Senators. That being said, there's still that little seed in the back of my mind when it comes to this Toronto team over the years, that when they are playing a game early in the week on a Monday or a Tuesday night at home, and they welcome in one of the dregs of the NHL into their building, they kind of go through the motions. They kind of look flat. They kind of struggle to get by and struggle, to find ways to win games like that. And that, to me, that shouldn't happen with the way they're playing right now. But it's one of those games where if they pump Anaheim 6-1, it wouldn't surprise me. And it's one of those games where it's 2-2 with 5 minutes left in the third period. It wouldn't shock me because we have seen this Leafs team sometimes in a dead environment. That you watch now tonight, and we'll have the betcast tonight. We'll be able to see it all together for ourselves. You watch that wine and cheese crowd at Scotiabank Arena tonight, because that's what it is on a Tuesday night when a bad team is in the building as the opponent. You're going to see it's going to be dead silence. It's going to be like a church. It's going to be like a morgue. They could play down to it just a little bit, not into the game, the Leafs. And then sure enough, one mistake and Anaheim scores a first goal. And then all of a sudden you got a game on your hands if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs. And it shouldn't happen. They're playing dynamite hockey. Anaheim is playing horrendous hockey. They've also got the schedule advantage, Toronto. They've been off since Saturday. no travel. Anaheim's coming in on a back-to-back after playing in Ottawa. There's no excuses that Toronto should roll in this game, but should doesn't always transpire the way you think it should. The things you think should happen don't always happen. It's a pass for me, but to me, don't be shocked if Anaheim is hanging around in this game longer than they have any right to. That's all I'm saying. What do you think here, Kevin? Anaheim, Toronto.
Yeah, so I'm definitely bringing wine and cheese to the betcast for this one. But you're exactly right. I have that same feeling in my head because I've witnessed this happen to the Leafs a bunch of times. The Coyotes have actually been on the good end of that, where Vejmelka has stolen games from the Leafs. I know there were a couple TNT games over the past couple seasons where that's happened. So it's clear this is a Leaf spot. And of course, I was trying to find something in Anaheim to bet. Just nothing I like there. But on the Toronto side, you mentioned a couple of things. John Tavares is having a great season. And one thing I looked at with Johnny T is in all of his home games against the Ducks since he's joined the Leafs, he's scored a goal. So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on John Tavares to score tonight at plus 155. And then Mitch Marner, I'm going to keep riding the points train here. I didn't take him straight up on points, but I'm taking him on a power play point at plus money. He gets that top plus plus minutes on the first power play, and he's rolling right now. So I want him to keep going. It's a blast to watch. So that's how I'm backing it. And I mean, if the Leafs don't win this, it's pretty sad, but it could happen. And I just like the props tonight.
Say this too about, you make a good point about, you said Marner power play point props. Their power play is clicking now. It's starting to get going. That's actually the one area of the team that even when they were winning these last few weeks, power play wasn't great. Actually, most of their offense was 5-on-5 during this good run for the Leafs. But all of a sudden, the last 2 games, they've scored 4 power play goals on 9 power play attempts. And we know that was going to get going at some point. I mean, they have more than enough talent that the power play and skill that the power play should be better than that. And now they're starting to play like it. 4 power play goals for Toronto in the last 2 games. And they just happen to be going up against, dead last, 32nd ranked penalty kill in the NHL from the Anaheim Ducks. So this could be a night where, if you're going to take Leaf player props and goal props are fine, point props are fine, but you're going to get more value with better prices with the power play points props. And this could be a night to jump in with a lot of them because you've got a power play that's starting to go and you've got a penalty kill that's been just pretty much pathetic is what it's been all season, the Anaheim Ducks penalty kill. So that's definitely what I would look for too if you're going to bet some Leafs props tonight is the power play points, because I think you're going to get some value on them there. And as far as the lineups too in this game, we're always looking for situations where you got players moving up, moving down in terms of lineup combinations going into this game. I forgot to mention too, Jaden Schwartz is moving on up to the top line for the Kraken tonight as well. So Jaden Schwartz might be a good prop look, undervalued there. As far as this game goes, looks like for Anaheim, we've got Comtois from the third line to the second line, and I've talked about how he's played better lately. He's actually been a pretty solid source of offense for the Ducks lately. Maybe look in that direction. Mitch Marner, I've been betting this a few times, and it's come through more than one occasion, and it happened against Calgary. You take him to score a goal and over 1.5 points, and you pair them up in an SGP, same game parlay, and you get a plus price, pretty good plus price out of it. It's been coming through lately. So that definitely is something that appeals to me, piques my interest tonight as far as Toronto goes in this game. So it's more of a prop game for me, as you can tell, than betting either side. It's just a huge astronomical price. The one thing that actually keeps me off taking a shot with Anaheim is Toronto lost to them on the road trip in California. And, that was when things were going awful for the Leafs. You would think they're going to want to make amends for that because they know they don't have to be reminded they lost to Anaheim and they were dismal on that road trip. I don't think they'd want to lose to the Ducks, for a second time. That's why I'm not quite buying into the, Toronto's going to be flat against a bad team motive as normally I do, just because they lost to Anaheim earlier this year. But then again, maybe they will do a Toronto here and and have a tough time and a greater struggle on home ice with the Anaheim Ducks than they probably should. All right, we got the New York Islanders and the Boston Bruins next up. Boston minus 260, home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. This one is interesting because you got Boston obviously returning from a road trip. The Islanders tonight on the second are they on the back-to-back? No, they're not. They're off. They've been off since Saturday night. They lost to the Carolina Hurricanes 3-0, a shutout loss in that game. Boston played Sunday against Vegas, 3-1 win over the Golden Knights. I had the Bruins in regulation as my best bet on Sunday. It was just a terrific situation. I mean, they were off their that loss to Arizona where they should have beaten the Coyotes. I mean, Karel Vejmelka was just absolutely remarkable in that game, and Boston probably deserved a better fate. But now Boston returns home facing this Islanders team. The Islanders obviously have kind of been in a win-loss pattern here the last few games. Islanders going with Semyon Varlamov tonight in goal for them. He's 7-4, 2.67 goals against average, .916 save percentage. He was in net against New Jersey. They won that game. I wouldn't say they necessarily won it thanks to Varlamov. He gave up 4 goals, but they scored 6 in that victory. The fact remains he has won each of his last 3 starts. He had the shutout against Chicago and only gave up 2 goals in a victory against Philadelphia. But this is a different test altogether facing the Bruins, and I'm sure Boston is going to be capable of at least getting a few goals themselves in this game. They're without David Krejci, who remains out. Pavel Zacha is going to end up playing on that second-line center spot in the absence of Krejci tonight for the Bruins. So as a result of that, you might get some value with Krejci in terms of the prop market tonight not with Krejci, with Zacha playing in place of David Krejci on that second-line center spot for the Boston Bruins tonight. Islanders have their share of injuries too at the moment. Palmieri, Beauvillier, Pelech, all it looks like either out or possibly out. Looks like Beauvillier, it's going to be a game time decision for him tonight for this game. So they're a little bit banged up. Pelech is a big loss on the blue line. I mean, we've said it for years, Kevin, as far as the Islanders go. This blue line is Pulock and Pelech, the double Ps, as I like to say. Those are by far their 2 best defensemen right now. And when one or both of them is missing, this is not the same team defensively. And this is not as good of a hockey team when one or both of those guys is out, especially on the back end. So I don't love the idea of Adam Pelech being out tonight for the Islanders. So this is going to be a pass for me. I mean, Boston is coming off a road trip. It's not the greatest spot for them, but I don't trust the Islanders to go into Boston and win, not with the injuries right now. It's probably going to be a stay-off game for me for now. But if you join us on the Betcast tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, I'm sure we'll jump in live with something when we see this game unfold. I'll see how the pace is going, who's carrying play, who's dictating play, and we'll be able to make some live bets as this game progresses tonight live on the Ice Guys Betcast. What do you think here, Kevin, Islanders, Bruins?
Yeah, so with those injuries you mentioned with the Islanders, it's something I was looking at on their blue line. You know, there's those 2 guys, and then from there it kind of falls off. So I'm looking to exploit those injuries here. The total is very appealing at 5.5. It looks like Varlamov's confirmed. He's been pretty good, but I still kind of like the over here. The last 5 meetings in Boston, this has gone over 4-0-1 to the over. And I'm not worried about Boston contributing to the over. I think they're going to get their share of goals, but can the Islanders get goals against this Boston team who's 14-0 at home, playing very good? If it's Linus Ullmark in net, I mean, he's been stellar this year. So I'm leaning the over 5.5. I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but we'll see. Maybe that'll be a live play that I do. And then from a player prop perspective, I like Brad Marchand to score. In his 4 games against the Islanders at home, he's had 4 goals. So I really like that trend, and he hasn't scored in 3 games. So I think his time is due. We know that goals and points come in bunches, and I think he's going to get one tonight. So he's at plus 155. I like the value there for Marchand to score.
All right, liking Brad Marchand to score. I'll say this for the Boston props. Normally, I shy away from Marchand, Bergeron, Pasternak, guys like that, because, you know, obviously you're not going to get the same value as you would for, say, Taylor Hall and Charlie Coyle, who I think are excellent value prop options right now for the Bruins. Taylor Hall's got 5 goals in the last 6 games. Charlie Coyle has scored in back-to-back games for Boston. So I think they're good value options tonight. But I will say this, when you've got Adam Pelech out of your lineup, one of your shutdown defensemen, what does that mean? It means life's going to be a little bit easier maybe for the top line of the opponent when you talk about one of your shutdown defensemen out. And that's who's out for the Islanders tonight. So it could mean a little bit tougher for the Islanders to try to contain Brad Marchand and Pasternak and Bergeron tonight. So this could be a night where they do some damage because of the fact you're missing one of your stalwarts, one of your leaders in ice time on the blue line, plays in all situations. One of your top shutdown D is Adam Pelech. You don't have him tonight, and it could allow more opportunity to maneuver and operate tonight for the perfection line for the Boston Bruins in this game tonight. Definitely something you want to keep in mind. All right, we've got Carolina and Detroit. We've got the Hurricanes next up, minus 175 home fate, actually minus 170 in most spots here. The total in this game currently sitting at 6, pretty much across the board, shaded to the under in this one. You do have Detroit returning home off a road trip, little dubious spot for them. Carolina, it seems like they've been on the road forever. This team, they've had a long, long run on the road. They're coming off a 3-0 shutout win against the Islanders, and now they've finished this road trip tonight after Pittsburgh, St. Louis, LA, Anaheim, New York Islanders, and now in Detroit tonight. And they'll finally head home and face Seattle on Thursday night. Man, could that be a good spot to back Seattle maybe Thursday night, especially if they lose tonight to Tampa. Bounce back and they catch Carolina after a very long road trip. So that could be a good bet on spot for the Kraken Thursday night when they play Carolina as a big road underdog. Might be worth a look there. But as for this game tonight, look, Carolina's 5-1 in their last 6 games, other than the loss against Anaheim, which is a head scratcher that they lost that game. They've been playing some really good hockey. They've also started to get a lot healthier. Teuvo Teravainen's come back in recent games for the Carolina Hurricanes. They are playing still without Sebastian Aho. He remains out. Jesper Foss day-to-day, and it looks like Aho will miss his second consecutive game for the Hurricanes tonight. He was also out of the lineup against the Islanders the other night. I mean, I definitely don't want to step in front of Carolina in this game with the way they're playing, but it is the end of this road trip. Detroit, it's kind of a bet against spot for both teams because also, like I said, Detroit's coming back home off the road. Carolina's finishing off a road trip that's been very successful. They're 4-1 on the road trip. Even if they lose tonight, it's a winning road trip before they go home. So it's kind of two teams that are not in the greatest of spots to back. So as a result, I'm going to probably end up passing. This could be an under as well in this game, just simply because of the fact that, for Carolina, they're capable of playing solid defensive hockey, and a lot of their overs were against teams that were struggling defensively. Anaheim, LA, St. Louis. Detroit's gone under the total in 4 straight games entering the night. And you've got 2 goalies that are bet on goaltenders right now, possibly. You've got Ville Husso in net, who we know has been the better goalie for Detroit compared to Nedeljkovic. And it looks like Pyotr Kochetkov is going to likely get the start for Carolina tonight. And there's a lot to like with his game right now. 6-1-2, 2.21 goals against average, .918 save percentage, and off that shutout victory against the New York Islanders on Saturday. So this one might end up being a good one to look under the total. What do you think here, Kevin? Carolina and Detroit.
Yeah, so I'm going to go against the grain here, and I actually like Detroit in this spot as a home dog. My model's got this closer to plus 125 to 130 for Detroit, so I'm seeing some value at this price. Ville Husso is going to be in nets. I always look to back him when I can. He started off the year very, very good. Then he struggled a little bit for a couple starts there, but he's been pretty solid. So I could see Detroit maybe stealing this game, especially at home. I do lean the under as well. I don't think I'm going to play that, but Detroit is my dog of the day, or one of my dogs of the day. I really like them here, so I'm going to take a chance, put a small wager on the Red Wings money line.
All right, how about that? And you know what? I'm always reluctant to fade Detroit when they're this kind of price at home. They've been a capable home team at times this year. Series history-wise, they've actually beaten Carolina twice in a row, and they've actually gone 5-2 in the last 7 head-to-head meetings against the Carolina Hurricanes. They have been a tough out for Carolina. This is one that, initially I actually was leaning Detroit as well. And then I was like, Carolina's playing well. Detroit's back off a road trip, not exactly a bet on spot. And that's what cooled me off of Detroit. But I don't mind that look. I mean, I think there is some value in the price, even though I don't love the spot for the Detroit Red Wings tonight in this game. This is a good betcast game too, because if I see Detroit looking strong early, taking the play to the Hurricanes, maybe we'll jump in on them live. But I understand the price point being pretty good for it. Again, this is a scrappy, competitive Detroit team. Even in the losses, they had the 5-1 loss against Florida, wasn't good, but don't forget they beat Tampa Bay the game before that. I thought they played very well against Vegas in one of their last home games. They played Toronto tough at home. They played Buffalo tough at home. I mean, they've been not an easy out for any opponent. So we'll have to wait and see how this one goes. Kevin liking the home dog here, Detroit, in this one. All right, Vegas and Winnipeg. We've got the Winnipeg Jets minus 140, home favorites here, 6 the total. I mean, the price has gone up, unfortunately, but I still like Winnipeg. I like them in this spot. I probably, and people warned me in the chat, but I'm a grown man. I've been doing this for 12 years. I mean, I've had a lot of success in the NHL, but the people were right. I mean, that was not the greatest spot to trust Winnipeg the other night against Washington. A Capitals team that is starting to play a little bit better, but they had that game, and they've got this is a big showdown here. This is a team that Winnipeg is right behind for first place right now. In the Western Conference. So it ends up being a very big game here for the Winnipeg Jets on home ice. And they've got Vegas a little bit vulnerable, at their most vulnerable right now. They've got a lot of key personnel out. Zach Whitecloud's on IR on that blue line. He's underrated. He's not one of those guys that's noticeable at times on the ice, but that's usually a good thing because it means he's not making mistakes. He's not screwing up. He's not turning the puck over. He's in good position. And when you don't notice a player like Whitecloud, usually it means he's doing his job and he's playing a tidy defensive game. So they're going to miss that out of Zach Whitecloud right now, even with IR. They miss Pietrangelo. It goes without saying. One of the leaders on the blue line. He's still away from the team as he tends to a personal health matter involving, I think, someone in his family is what I heard. We'd certainly wish them well. And now Jack Eichel's going to miss another game, too, for the Vegas Golden Knights. So they've got some key personnel out right now for the Vegas Golden Knights. And like I said, they've leveled off a little bit. There are 2 teams in the Western Conference. Dallas is one we mentioned earlier, and Vegas is another. They've leveled off a little bit, both teams, after that terrific first month of the season. I mean, they're playing .500 hockey, the Vegas Golden Knights, their last 10 games, 5-5 in their last 10 games entering tonight. Off a 3-1 loss to Boston. And I remember when they lost a home game and they went on the road, and I was hell-bent on saying, they're going to roll Columbus, and they need a shootout to beat Columbus. And Winnipeg is a whole hell of a lot better than Columbus. So I'm not sold on, Vegas off the loss to Boston, going on the road. Usually that's a good bet on situation, but I can't say I'm in love with the way the Knights are playing right now. Their offense is dried up. They've scored 4 goals in the last 3 games combined. Coincides with Eichel being out. Tells you how much he has meant to this hockey team this year. The offense hasn't been necessarily the same without him. And you've got Winnipeg off a loss where, you talk about the Jets off losses lately. They've been really good in this kind of situation. Go back all the way to October 30th. They lost at Vegas. They won the next game against Montreal. They lost at Calgary November 12th. They won the next game at Seattle on a back-to-back. They lost at home to Pittsburgh. They won the next game at home against Carolina. They lost at Minnesota November 23rd. They won the next game at Dallas. They lost to Columbus at home. They bounced back and they beat Anaheim the next game. They've been phenomenal off a loss. And I know this is a game that's going to get Winnipeg all revved up. Home ice, where they've been pretty good for the most part. That Washington result aside, 10-4 on home ice this year. Vegas been a great road team, 12-3. But the last road trip, we did see Vegas at least lose a couple, including the game against Pittsburgh by a score of 4-3, which was the best team they played on that road trip as well. I know they had the big win against Boston, ended their home win streak, but I think this is going to be a tough one, as the injuries have mounted here for the Vegas Golden Knights. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Winnipeg in this game, minus 140 money line, but I'm going to split it half on that, and I'm going to go half on a first period puck line on Winnipeg, because I find too off a loss lately. These first periods, they've come out and had a really good response when they haven't played well the game before. And I know they're not going to be happy about the way they played against the Capitals. It was the exact same thing we saw, against, I think last week it was when they played at home against the, I think it was the Panthers. And Rick Bowness was not happy with the start to the game against Anaheim, the game before that. And they had a great first period. I think you're going to see something like that again here. So I'm going to do a split bet. Half of the total amount on Winnipeg minus a half, plus 160. in the first period. That's a great price on that first period puck line, and the other half on the money line here with the Jets at -140. What do you think here, Kevin, Vegas and Winnipeg?
Yeah, I love that first period puck line side there. Something I'm probably going to join you on. But I love the Jets here. This is a great bounce back spot at home, and this team just looks so much different this year under Rick Bowness. The mentality and how hard they're playing each game. Of course, that Washington game was tough. I know a lot of us in the chat were on Winnipeg to win that game, but I don't mind going back to them here. And when I was looking at the history between these two teams, in the last 4 outings where Vegas comes to Winnipeg, Winnipeg's won all 4 of those games, and they've also been by more than 1 goal. So I'm looking to ride that trend here as well. So I'm taking Winnipeg in regulation at plus money. With your little angle there on the first period, I see them coming out strong, getting a nice cushion and continuing that on through the game. So I like Winnipeg in regulation, and I got it for plus 110. And with Vegas just banged up, I think Eichel's one thing, but Pietrangelo on the back end, he is such a crucial player for this team. And I get to watch a lot of their games as well since I'm on the West Coast, and you could just see the impact he has on these games. And he controls the pace of play. He jumps into the play. And with Whitecloud out as well, he's a sneaky good defenseman. So I'm taking my chances on Winnipeg in regulation here.
All right, I agree with it. I mean, definitely. If you want a little more bang for your buck, I was a little more cautious with the -140 full game money line. But if you want a little more bang for your buck, I have no argument with the regulation look on the Winnipeg Jets here in this one either. And as far as props go in this game, Winnipeg's been an interesting team because they haven't been scared to shuffle the lineup a little bit. And right now they've got Cole Perfetti on the top line. That guy is a great undervalued prop player right now for the Jets. He's going to get opportunity now. He's playing with Scheifele and Wheeler. They're going to actually move up. It looks like Morgan Barron, I've talked about him, also might be worth a look. Mikey Eyssimont is also going to move up the lineup too tonight to the second line for the Winnipeg Jets. Now, he has only got 1 goal on the season, but again, the ice time is going to go up. He did have 2 shots on goal in the last game, so playing with good players, that helps as well. Mikey Eyssimont is going to be playing for Winnipeg with Dubois and Connor, who've been awesome lately for the Jets. And so him and also Perfetti up on that top line with Scheifele and Wheeler, I think are worth a look. Perfetti's gotten 2 goals in the last 3 games as well for the Winnipeg Jets. So some good player prop options, in my opinion, undervalued. And that's what I look for. I look for a little more value than, say, your standard options like Connor and et cetera and Scheifele. We look for the value with some of these props. And for Vegas, even though I like Winnipeg, one player I would target for them in this game tonight it's probably either Carrier, who's actually stepped up at times, or Paul Cotter. I'll go back to the well there. He's on the top line, it looks like, for this game tonight, getting opportunity to play alongside Stevenson and Stone. Undervalued in terms of his prop prices right now as well. All right, Edmonton and Nashville next up here. We've got Edmonton -135, road favorites in Music City, total 6.5 across the board in this one. You got a back-to-back situation for both of these teams. Edmonton off a loss last night against the Minnesota Wild, and the Nashville Predators. How about getting blanked by the St. Louis Blues, who really have been scuffling defensively, and Jordan Binnington as well. And Binnington pitches a goose egg shutout against the Nashville Predators last night in that game. So both of these teams looking to bounce back. Nashville, 3 straight losses. All of a sudden, we were starting to get excited about the way they were playing, right? They've had the back-to-back impressive road wins against the Devils and the Islanders, and all of a sudden they haven't won since then. So that definitely has been a problem for them in recent games. Edmonton, 2-1 loss to Minnesota last night. It was a really good performance in net by Marc-Andre Fleury. 29 saves on 30 shots, and definitely he's had a lot of success. Hasn't had the greatest, or he has had a lot of success, I should say, against Edmonton, Fleury, and he had another good night against them last night. These teams played last month in Edmonton. Edmonton won 7-4. Edmonton is currently on a 6-1, or sorry, they've won 7 in a row. Mike, beg your pardon, 7-0 run for the Edmonton Oilers head to head against the Nashville Predators. So And I do feel that they're still the better of these two teams. Here's the issue. You're laying $1.35 with the Oilers, and it's probably a night where they're going to put Jack Campbell in, and we're going to see what he's got. And Jack Campbell is not a minus 135 I'm going to lay with him goalie on the road right now. That's just not exactly something I'm excited about doing. But, after Skinner got the start last night, it's probably back to Jack Campbell tonight, and let's see. We'll see. And this is another great night to have a bet cast for a game like this. We don't know if Jack Campbell's going to be any better. He's given us no evidence that we can trust him to be any better right now than what he's been. But he has had a week to just sit there and collect his thoughts, be out there in practice, take shots, think about how he can improve, and maybe the time away from being in net. And he's had a lot of time away now, Jack Campbell, since his last start. This is a lot of time that we have not seen him in between the pipes for the Oilers. He hasn't been in a game since all the way back to December 1st, 12 days ago, against the Minnesota Wild when he gave up 5 goals. So this is 12 days to contemplate your shortcomings, why you've struggled, what can you improve? Is there anything in your technique that is flawed right now? Is there any little weakness that opposing teams are exploiting? And can you fix it? Can you work on it? Can you be better? Can you get yourself in the mental capacity here to put the struggles aside? It's been 12 days. You've had a chance to, collect your bearings a little bit, hit the reset button. Let's see how he does tonight. I certainly need to see it before I believe it, because the numbers for Campbell are ghastly. 4.12 goals against average, 872 save percentage. I do like the over a little bit, but I'm only going to bet a small amount now. Part of me thinks, wait a minute, maybe Campbell's going to flip the switch, be awesome, but I'm going to have to see it before I believe it. I do like over 6.5, but I'm going to also save some of the amount that I'm putting on the over. I would have put more on the over pregame if we weren't doing the bet cast tonight, but because we are, we're going to have an opportunity to see the start of this game. Let's see how Edmonton defends. Let's see what kind of start to the game we get out of a struggling goalie who's got no confidence right now, and does the 12-day break for him, allow him to hit the pause button and maybe have one of his better outings tonight. Because we know there's a good goalie in there somewhere. He's shown it the last little bit in Toronto last year and the last couple of years. That's what got his career back on track. But again, I would rather see it before I believe it. What do you think here, Kevin? Edmonton, Nashville?
Yeah, this is a tricky one. Like you said, they're both coming off back-to-backs. I watched the whole entire Nashville-St. Louis game. That shows how much of a hockey fan I am, and watched that whole entire thing.
You're the best kind of hockey fan. That's why.
So that was a little disappointing. And of course, the Wild, my boy Terry's Wild won. They beat the Oilers 2-1 last night. When I looked at this game initially, I'm like, okay, the Oilers are going to explode for goals. They only had 1 goal last night. McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, and crew, they're going to explode tonight. That was my initial thoughts, but Kevin Lankinen's playing in net for the Predators, and I have watched him quite a bit when he was a Blackhawk. My wife's a Blackhawks fan, so I watch a lot of those games. And he's a good goaltender. He can steal a game. So I don't know. This one makes me a little nervous, but if I do pick anything, I'll probably choose something for the Oilers. Maybe I'll look at some player props, but I'll probably save this one for the betcast as well. I think that's a good idea, and get a feel for it and go from there.
I'll throw out a couple trends at you, and I'm not a big trends guy, but this I think matters. It's not like we see Edmonton in a 2-1 hockey game every day. That is for sure. And obviously we saw it last night with Edmonton and Minnesota. I'll throw this one out at you. The Oilers, in terms of overs, have trended 35-17 to the over in 52 games. They're in 52 games, their last 52 games after allowing 2 goals or less in the previous game. So that tells you when they hold a team to 2 goals or less, like Minnesota last night, the floodgates open the next game. And conversely, when the Oilers are held to 2 goals or less offensively in their previous game, the next game, in the short term, they've trended 7-2 to the over. So there you go. It seems like when we get a 2-1 game from Edmonton, you better be ready to see the floodgates open the next game involving the Edmonton Oilers. So keep that in mind, because both the over is a strong percentage trend when Oiler games, when they are held to 2 goals or less, and also when they give up 2 goals or less. It seems like a lot of their next games go over the total. So that's why I think that's significant, looking at that statistic, because it seems like 2-1 does not go that way, that style of game, that kind of low-scoring affair 2 games in a row. Rarely ever does for the Edmonton Oilers. So, yeah, I do like the over. But again, I'm going to also put some more of my own bankroll on this game during the betcast when we get a real good indication of what Jack Campbell's going to be. Hopefully he's not another freaking mess tonight like he's been, unfortunately, for a large part of the season. As far as the props go with Edmonton, I'm sticking to the same players I mentioned the other day. Kyler Yamamoto, he finally scored a couple games ago. Obviously, nobody got going offensively last night against Minnesota, but I think Yamamoto's still undervalued. And obviously for as well, the Nuge, Ryan Nugent Hopkins, can't argue with his production lately. Still value with the Nuge RNH to make an impact for the Oilers as well tonight in this game. Some good prop options there. All right, Washington, Chicago. We've got Washington minus 210, road favorites, 6 the total in this game. There's not a lot of games where I'm just, really not all that interested. This is one of them. I mean, I didn't bet the side. I didn't bet the total in this game. I mean, I could only look Washington here because they're starting to play a little bit better, starting to get a little bit healthier at the very least. I mean, to beat Winnipeg like that was impressive the other night. I sure as fuck do not trust Peter Mrazek, who's coming back from the injury list to start tonight for the Blackhawks. That groin, it's probably only a matter of time before he hurts it again. I mean, that's just the way it's been. He's been out since December the 3rd with that injury. He's 2-5 with a 4.06 goals against average, 884 save percentage this year, 0-2 in his home starts. He's allowed 13 goals on 94 shots, in his last 3 starts. I mean, just not the numbers, you want to trust in terms of Mrazek here in net for the Blackhawks. So we'll see. And look, he's actually got to step up here because Soderblom hasn't been that bad lately for the Blackhawks. In fact, he's had some decent moments in net for them in recent games. Can Chicago get their offense going? That's the concern. 1 goal in the last 3 games, all of them losses for Chicago against the Islanders, Devils, and the Jets, and scoring just 1 goal, 1 measly goal in those last 3 games combined. And as a result, Luke Richardson has gone wild, shaking up the lines here tonight for the Chicago Blackhawks. So much so that this is actually, believe it or not, if Chicago can score a goal, and that's debatable right now, having scored just 1 goal in the last 3 games, but if they can, someone you might want to look to score a goal for them tonight. He's moving on up to the top line. He's only got 3 goals on the season, but it's someone that's going to be given a great opportunity with Max Domi and with Patrick Kane is Sam Lafferty. Sam Lafferty on the top line tonight, all the way up, I believe, from the 4th line, if I'm not mistaken, for the Blackhawks for this game tonight. Yeah, the 4th line all the way up to the top line. So from the outhouse to the penthouse, if you will, for Sam Lafferty tonight. And I'm going to look it up right now, what you could find on him for a goal prop tonight, because I know Chicago can't put a puck in the ocean as a hockey team right now, the last 3 games. But when you have these opportunities right now to bet a player to score, a goal when he's going up from the 4th line to the top line, it is impossible for me to resist that opportunity. So Sam Lafferty to score a goal tonight, you can find it at plus 650 at BetMGM, DraftKings. Other books have it as high as plus 650 on Sam Lafferty to score a goal tonight. Excellent value. Excellent. He's going to be on the top line. I'll be putting a piece of that in my pocket tonight for sure. But other than that, it's probably going to be a pass. I wouldn't talk anyone out of the Caps team total over. I guess if I was closest to betting something in this game, it would probably be that. What do you think here, Kevin? Capitals, Blackhawks.
Yeah, this is an ugly one. The Caps struggle to score on the road. They've been playing a little bit better lately, like you said, but on the road at minus 210, not sure I really like that here. Mrazek's in net for Chicago, so that plus 180, I was thinking that's pretty nice, but I can't back Mrazek. One thing I will say about Sam Lafferty, I have watched him play quite a bit, and he is a workhorse. That guy hustles, and he closes gaps, and he plays very hard. I think he was leading the league in shorthanded goals before. I think Connor Dewar is now for the Wild, but
yep.
Lafferty was up there. So that's a very nice value pick, Ian. I like that. I might have to join you there. But yeah, I don't like the sides here, and I could see this one going under. But then again, we got Mrazek in net, and that's hard to trust. So ultimately, it's a pass for me.
Yeah, good question, Ryan W. If I don't have Twitter, how can I send a message for the Betcast link? Yeah, email Bobano350 at gmail.com, Ryan. So that's BOBANO350 at gmail.com. Send an email there. And if I get your email, Ryan, I will send you the StreamYard link for the Betcast for sure before we begin tonight at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. So there we go. All right, Philadelphia, Colorado. We've got the Avalanche minus 240 home favorites here. 6 the total. It is 6 in some books shaded to the under. It has dropped to 5.5 in a couple other books. So it's that prototypical game where if you like the over, get a 5.5. If you like the under, get a 6. I mean, that's why it's important to have multiple sports books so you can always get the best number, best price around. This game is another one where it's tough. I mean, although I will say for the Philadelphia Flyers, they have been feisty even in defeat the last few games. The Washington game, remember, it was 2-1 before Washington got a couple of late goals. So that was essentially a 1-goal game when they lost to the Capitals. 2-1 loss in overtime to Vegas, and they outshot the Golden Knights. 41-29, they outshot Arizona against the Coyotes Sunday night. They lose 5-4 in overtime. I mean, the effort, again, John Tortorella is not bullshitting when he says we work our ass off. We play our ass off. He's right. They work hard. They just don't work smart. They don't work efficiently. And they don't, with all that hard work, it just doesn't result in winning and scoring goals, half the time. They finally did against Arizona, got their offense going after really struggling 2 games in a row, but still ended up losing the game. And it was one of those nights where, hey, they finally get some goals. And then Carter Hart decides, I'm not going to have one of my better games. And he gives up 5 goals for the Philadelphia Flyers. And it definitely wasn't one of his better games in that game. And I think Tortorella senses that because he's going with Felix Sandstrom in net. And this is not a back-to-back situation either for Philadelphia. They don't play tomorrow night, and yet he's still going with Felix Sandstrom. So I get the sense Torts was a little annoyed about Carter Hart's performance the other night against Arizona. He sees that, hey, my team finally scores 4 goals and we still lose. And, which sometimes Torts gets cranky, Mr. Cranky Pants with his goaltending. So at this point in time, Felix Sandstrom has been confirmed and will be the starter tonight for the Flyers. Pavel Francouz will be in net for the Colorado Avalanche. He actually ended up getting the start against St. Louis over the weekend, and he led the Avalanche to a 3-game losing streak snapping victory over the St. Louis Blues in that game. Stopped 30 saves, or made 30 saves on 32 shots, only allowed 2 goals in that game. So Francouz is going to get a second straight start in net for the Avalanche. Jared Bednar making that decision since he led them to that victory, which snapped a 4-game losing streak against St. Louis. And so he's given Francouz the net again, and it'll be Sandstrom for Philly. I don't know if that overtime win against a struggling St. Louis team is enough for me to say, hey, let's take Colorado here, minus 240. Still a banged-up team, although they did get Nichushkin and Lehkonen back over the weekend, which is significant. They still have McKinnon out, Rodriguez out, 2 of their centers. Bowen Byram still out on the blue line, as well as Josh Manson. Those are 2 big absences. And Landeskog, of course, still on IR. He's been there forever. It definitely feels like Colorado, though, will want this game. They lost, of course, to Philadelphia just recently, 5-3 in Philly against the Flyers. I think I could make a case for Colorado first period puck line. I think that if I were to bet something in that game, I could probably look in that direction. -0.5, plus 130 first period puck line for the Colorado Avalanche. So plus 130 price for that is pretty good. Full game puck line is around plus 110. I don't love that price as much. But I do think we might get a good start out of Colorado, knowing that, hey, Philly punked us the other night. I know we had a lot of injuries in that game, but to lose to the Flyers, that can't sit well with Colorado. So that first period puck line look for Colorado, I might be able to pull the trigger on that one at plus 130. Certainly the price is appealing to me. What do you think here, Kevin? Flyers, Avalanche?
Yeah, this is another ugly one to look at, but the Flyers, I was trying to find a way to back them at this plus 200 price. Is not bad. We are in a revenge spot for Colorado. They're getting some guys back, some key players. But like you said, Tortorella teams, they play hard. You can definitely count on that. So an angle I might look at is Philly plus 1.5. I don't know what the price is on that. I don't typically take those, but I could see them keeping this pretty close. Uncomfortable to take them on the money line, but maybe a little insurance with that plus 1.5 is a look. But ultimately for me, this one's going to be a pass.
All right, it's a pass here for Kevin with Flyers and Avs. Not much for in terms of player. Tippett's the one that might be interesting for Philadelphia. He's played solid hockey the last few weeks. Colorado, of course, their lineup is starting to get, like I said, healthier. Confer and O'Connor and Cogliano's been a decent line, but they've got Big Val, Nichushkin, Rantanen, and Lehkonen together on the top line. So again, at least they're starting to get a little bit better. The under is definitely something that could hit tonight. Not applicable is right. I mean, I would certainly lean that way. Colorado's been an under machine with all these injuries. I mean, they're trying to keep things a little bit tighter, keep things a little bit lower scoring. Philadelphia doesn't mind playing that way, of course, either under Tortorella. They've gone 7-3 to the under in their last 10 games. So the under definitely makes some sense, but make sure you shop around, find a 6 if you like this game under the total. All right, final game here of this massive Tuesday card. We've got the Arizona Coyotes and the San Jose Sharks. Arizona, wow. So after all of that road trip, you basically keep this team at home for 2 measly games, and now all of a sudden they're back on the road again. I mean, my goodness, talk about great job there by the NHL schedule makers there. I expected at least a 5 or 6 game homestand for Arizona at Mullet Arena after having that ridiculously over a month road trip, and here they are back on the road again here tonight, Arizona, as they take on the San Jose Sharks. San Jose minus 175, home favorites, 6 being the total in this game. We'll have to see who's in net for for Arizona, if it's Vejmelka. I am tempted by the Coyotes, believe it or not, as a dog, if it is Karel Vejmelka in net for this game. James Reimer is going to be the netminder for the Sharks, and he is finally back and healthy again. He's been sidelined since the end of November with a lower body injury. He's not a goalie that I trust, even when he is healthy. And now he's coming off this long time away with this lower body injury. And I'm not convinced he's going to be all that, healthy, all that at his absolute best here in his first start back in quite some time. And, his numbers on the year, James Reimer, are still pedestrian, plodding. He's 5-9. 3 goals against average, .903 save percentage going into this game tonight against the Coyotes. And I believe he's already faced Arizona earlier this season. I'm pretty sure he did. Maybe he didn't. Maybe I'm thinking of last year. But I know there's been some instances with him in net against Arizona where he struggled. So, yeah, I am eyeing Arizona as a potential live road underdog here tonight in this game. They have won 2 in a row. Now, both of them at home. They got to prove they can go on the road and get the job done. They're still only a 6-14 road team this year, the Arizona Coyotes, but I would still lean to them at this price, but I'd feel a lot better about backing them with Vejmelka in net. I'm not the biggest fan of Connor Ingram, who is, of course, the backup here for the Coyotes, and his numbers bear out why I'm not a big fan of his play in net. 1-6 he is with a 4.57 goals against average, .866 save percentage. So Vejmelka confirmed, says Terry Edelman. So let me just double check, because you're right, RotoWire didn't have it confirmed yet. Yeah, it is. Karel Vejmelka. I think with the way he's playing right now, like, he's the only reason they beat Boston. 46 shots for the Bruins in that game, and he followed it up again with a win over Philadelphia. Not nearly as good, but I think after facing all the shots he faced with Boston, maybe he was a little bit fatigued from that start. I still think you could do a lot worse than take this plus 155 or so price tag with Arizona in this game. This might be an Arizona team total over, because I was leaning over, but I don't really love the idea of taking the full game over as much with Karel Vejmelka in net. I might gravitate more toward a team total over, 2.5 minus 135, and I might split it up. I've been doing this with the bigger underdogs lately, splitting it up with the team total over and the money line. And I might do that here with Arizona. Team total over 2.5 minus 135, split with the money line here at plus 155. Kevin, what do you think here from your backyard? How do you think the Coyotes fare tonight facing San Jose in the tank?
Yeah, so it's only fitting that I back my Yotes here. First time on the ice, guys, being an advocate for hockey in Arizona. My model does like the Coyotes a little bit here as far as an edge is concerned. The fair odds I'm getting are about plus 133. So this price at plus 155 is really nice, I think. And James Reimer in net for San Jose and Vejmelka for the Yotes. I could see the Yotes taking this one. So I actually have the same exact split you do, Ian. I've got the team total 2.5 for the Yotes. And then I've also got the sprinkle on the Yotes money line tonight. So let's see if my Desert Dogs can get it done for us.
Yeah, indeed. Let's definitely see if they can get it done. It looks like, too, there's a couple injuries for San Jose. Nieto, who's a depth forward, but he's been pretty solid for them, both ends of the ice. He's out for tonight. And Barabanov has actually been an impressive player for San Jose. He's been on the top 6 all season. He's got 3 goals, 16 assists, 19 points on the year for San Jose. He's got a lower body injury. He missed practice yesterday, and he may not go tonight for the Sharks. So that could be a big absence too for the Sharks tonight. If Barabanov doesn't play, it would shake things up in terms of the top 6 forward group. As far as the player props go, I think there's Michelli is moving up to the second line for Arizona. I've talked about Lawson Krause for weeks. He's always worth a look. Same with Nick Schmaltz on the top line. He's always been someone you can really rely on for Arizona offensively. If anyone's going to do some damage, often Schmaltz is that player. And so there's some player props I would look at from the Coyotes side for this game here tonight. All right, that is the Tuesday card. Great job, Kevin, for the first time on the Ice Guys show. Excellent analysis. That is great stuff. And again, before we get to best bets and wrap up the show, just tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter.
Yeah, of course. You can find me on Twitter at KevBets, as you can see on the screen. And yeah, I'd love to connect and to work on some picks together. But thanks, Ian, for having me. This was a blast.
Yeah, absolutely. And a reminder, again, the BetCast is tonight. We want everybody joining us here. Absolutely. We want to make it a big-time event. We had a great showing, a great turnout in November when we did the BetCast, and we definitely want more of that here tonight. So, again, either email me, bobano350@gmail.com, or DM me on Twitter if you want to join us live on the BetCast tonight starting at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, and I will send you the StreamYard link for the BetCast before we begin. So that's tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, live betting, commentary, bring some beer, vino, whatever drink you want. It doesn't even have to be alcoholic or liquor. It can just be water, whatever. But we're going to have some fun, as always. Our last BetCast of the year as well tonight. So make sure you join us for that at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And a reminder, we have a brand new sponsor here of the Ice Guys. We're proud to be supported now. Support for the Ice Guys brought to you by our friends at Manscaped, manscaped.com, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's performance package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. You can get 20% off and free worldwide shipping using the promo code ICEGUYS, ICEGUYS. That's promo code ICEGUYS at manscaped.com. So make sure you take advantage of that. Again, get 20% off and free shipping with the code ICEGUYS at manscaped.com. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. The Lawnmower 4.0 is excellent. Can use it anywhere. The Weed Whacker, I talked about it yesterday. Get the nose hairs out of your way. They're no longer an issue thanks to that. Great tools, great accessories to keep you trim. Manscaped.com. Promo code IceGuys. Make sure you check that out. And also patreon.com/IceGuys. Again, $10 a month. Our daily betting card is posted there, and so many other great, perks there. You're going to have bonus content, goalie charts, totals charts, you name it. So make sure you subscribe for $10 a month, patreon.com/IceGuys. And as you see on the bottom of the screen, manscaped.com, you get 20% off and free shipping by using the promo code Ice Guys. All right, it is time for best bets now to wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. We'll start with our special guest, Kevin. What do you like for your first ever Ice Guys show best bet?
Yeah, pressure's on here. I really like Winnipeg money line tonight, just straight up. I think the best you could find was 130 last night. It may have moved a little bit, but that's my favorite one for tonight. So Winnipeg Jets money line.
All right, Winnipeg Jets money line. Winnipeg for Kevin with his best bet against Vegas. And do you want to go in money line or in regulation?
I'm just going to take money line on that one.
Money line? All right,
Yep.
There we go. Money line, -140 Winnipeg for Kevin with his best bet. And it's funny because I used Winnipeg first period in the last week against Florida for best bet. So, and I agree with you there. But my best bet for this game, for this card tonight, I'm going to keep it very simple. Lots of goals, in my opinion. Los Angeles, Buffalo. We're going to go over 6.5 with the Kings and the Sabres, -135. I expect goals in this game tonight. King Sabres over 6.5 for my best bet for this Tuesday NHL card. And that's a wrap. Great job by Kevin. The Betcast is tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you join us for that. Email or DM me if you want to join us on the stream. Looking forward to it. And Alex B. Smith will be back with me as well for the Betcast tonight. Looking forward to it. A massive slate. Hopefully we'll turn out a great deal of profit as well during tonight's live Betcast. We thank you for joining us. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For our special guest, Kevin, follow him on Twitter at Kev_bets. I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday, and we will see you again tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern for the live Betcast, the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now.